Dear students, welcome to module number 4 video lecture on quantum mechanics and lasers. Okay, let us start with the laser. This is a diagram or picture of a laser you have seen many times in your physics lab or somewhere else in presentations. Laser stands for, it's an acronym, it stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, it is an acronym basically, it doesn't give any meaning when I explain the acronym. So here there's a lot of meaning hidden in it. So you have to understand the term amplification. Amplification means raising the strength of weak signals. Okay, uh, whenever we have weak signals, that strength will be increased, and the process is called amplification. Light amplification means increasing the strength of a light. Strength means intensity. Okay, so we we increase the intensity of a light by increasing the number of photons. The first two letters of a laser, LA, stands for light amplification. No, so basically this means we are increasing the strength or intensity of a light. So basically, laser is an amplified light source, a light source whose strength, that is intensity, has been increased. So there are characteristics of laser which makes it special. First characteristics is directionality. It is a highly directional beam of a light. When you compare with a normal light, it's highly directional, it is not diverging. Okay, next, it is highly monochromatic. That means it is giving you only one wavelength, it is not giving you other wavelength. Almost all, I mean, uh, the wavelength that is emitted is only one. Hardly other wavelengths are present. If it is red color, say wavelength is 6250 angstrom, it is emitting 6250. Very small number of other wavelengths are also present. Therefore, we say it's a highly monochromatic. Only one wavelength is emitted. Okay, then it is highly coherent. That means all the light waves are uh, moving together in phase. So that property is called as coherence. And in laser, all the waves that are present in laser beam, they are moving together because of their phase relationship. Therefore, this property of coherence is very high. It is highly focused. You can use a lens and make it a sharp point, and this is used in industrial applications. Then it is highly intense. Last one, it's highly intense. Intensity is very high because it has been amplified. And second thing is that laser beam is very small in diameter. In that diameter, you have large number of photons which are squeezed. Therefore, you get a very high intense beam of a light. Okay, so when I combine all those, so laser is a highly directional, monochromatic, coherent beam of a light of very high intensity. So there are basic concepts that you have to understand laser. So first thing is radiation. According to Einstein's theory, light radiation of frequency mu. Okay, this is frequency mu. You can see here, this is nothing but a frequency mu. Okay, is consisting of large bundles of energy. It is consisting of large bundles. So these bundles of energy we call it as photon. This is a photon. Okay, so according to Einstein's theory, light is a stream of photons. Each photon has energy equal to h mu. Got it? So now you have the different view of the light now. Okay, so what is this photon? So photon is obtained whenever whenever an atom moves from higher energy state to the lower energy state, it emits a photon. So whatever the extra bit of energy it has, it is emitted in the form of bundle of energy. That bundle of energy is called as photon, and the energy of this photon is always equal to the difference of these two energy states. Similarly, when an atom is in the lower energy state, if if a photon is incident on it, if the photon has the right energy means it should have the energy equal to E2 minus E1, then that photon will be absorbed by the atom and it moves to the higher energy level. Got it? So in absorption of light here, okay, or when there is an emission of a light or emission of a photon, in both the cases the energy is always equal to the difference of the two energy levels. So this is nothing but the energy of the photon. Okay, now there is a term called as there's a term known as the energy density. So this is energy density of radiation, means it is the energy of this radiation. This is a light radiation. As I told you, it is consisting of large number of photons. These are the photons. Okay. Now these photons are present in this radiation, and this radiation has an energy density equal to this u mu into d mu. Okay, it is energy per unit volume of this light radiation. Okay, so this is depend upon the frequency of that light. Got it? Very important term. Clear? Okay, energy density of the radiation of a particular frequency. Got it? Now go for next one. Matter. So matter means it is a system, or it's a matter, as you know, it's a collection of discrete collection of atoms. Matter is a thing but a collection of atoms. You can look here, there are atoms here as well as here. So the atoms is consisting of different energy levels, E1, E2, E3. Okay, atoms consist of different energy levels. Clear? So in an matter, the atom that are present will be in different energy levels. Few atoms will be in E1 energy state, few atom will be in the E2 energy state. Depending upon the scenario, there may be few atoms in the E3 energy levels also. So therefore I can define a term known as population to identify these atoms. You are getting the point? So here also you can look here, few atoms in E2 state, few atoms in E1 state. Okay, so what is this population? Population means count of atoms. Population of an energy level is nothing but the number of atoms in that particular energy level, okay. So let us define population. Okay, so the same diagram here, you can look here. There are few atoms in E2 E1 state, few atoms in E2 state. It may be, there may be one more atom in E3, like this is E3 state. Okay, clear? uh, Now I can define the population as the number of atoms in a particular energy level. This is known as a population. Okay, so the number of atoms in that particular energy level. Got it? Now here, uh, since the atoms are not having the same energy, they are having different energy. Therefore, I can define, as I told you, it is defined as the number of atoms in that particular energy level. Got it? Now here, okay. Now there are few atoms in E1 state. Look here, these are the atoms in E1 state. Okay, so this is known as N1. The population of E1 is known as N1, and there are few atoms in E2 state. This is known as N2. The population of E2 is called as N2. The population of E1 is called as N1. If there is a few atoms in E3 state, we call those atoms as E3 or N3. Okay, got it? This is how we identify the population. Okay, so let us go for the next point. This is very important here. It's known as the Boltzmann's relation. Okay, Boltzmann relation gives you the uh, relation between two population, or it gives you the ratio of two populations. Okay, it gives you the ratio of two populations. Okay, now here I have N2 as the population of E2, N1 as the population of E1, N1 as the population of E1. Okay, so if I want to find the ratio, I can use this wonderful relation known as the Boltzmann's relation. Okay, so this Boltzmann relation gives you the ratio of two population, N2 and N1. So N2 by N1 is the ratio of the population. It is given by exponential of e raised to e raised to e2 minus e1 by kbt. I told you E2 and E1 are nothing but the energy levels of upper and lower energy level. Kb is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature. So using this I can find the ratio of those two populations. Here I have in the next case I have replaced this E2 minus E1 as h mu. So if you remember that photon picture where the photon energy is such that it is the difference of two energy states. Now here E2 minus E1 gives you the difference of two energy states, and that is equal to h mu. Therefore I substitute it as h mu. We can prove that the value of n1 is always greater than n2. That means we can say that the number of atoms in the lower energy state is always higher than the number of atoms in the excited state. Or in other words, I can say that the number of atoms in the excited state is always lesser than the number of atoms in the lower energy state. Or in simple words, the number of atoms in the lower energy state is always greater than the number of atoms in the higher or excited state. Okay, so go for the next one. Clear? uh, Interaction of radiation with the matter. When a radiation interacts with the matter, there is three possibilities: induced absorption, spontaneous emission, or stimulated emission. These three things can take place. Let us go for the first one, induced absorption. So when an atom is in the lower energy state, if you look at the atom, so this atom is in the lower energy state, E1. So suppose if a photon is incident here on this atom, such that the energy is equal to E2 minus E1, then that photon will be absorbed by the atom and it will move to the higher energy state. This is known as the absorption. It is known as the absorption. Since we are inducing the absorption, forcing the absorption to take place, therefore it is called as induced absorption. It is called as an induced absorption. So induced absorption is an absorption of a photon of energy E equal to E2 minus E1 by an atom in the lower energy state, as a result of which the atoms moves to the higher energy state. Okay, clear? Go for next one, spontaneous emission. So an atom is in the excited state. Here it stays there for 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. After that it has to come down. So once it is coming down, it emits the photon. Why it emits a photon? Because it is moving from higher energy state to the lower energy state. The difference of the energy state is emitted in the form of photon. This energy is equal to E2 minus E1, or it is equal to h mu. Okay, so this is known as spontaneous emission. Is the emission of photon when an atom in the higher energy state transit to the lower energy state without any external aid. Without any external aid, it is coming on its own. Such a phenomenon we call it as spontaneous emission. Now keep in mind that no external energy is required, okay, to have spontaneous emission. Now go for next one. Here if we have two spontaneous emissions, the two spontaneous emissions that takes place, they may have the same energy, may or may not have the same energy, may or may not have the same direction. Therefore the photons that are emitted by the light source, okay, will be incoherent. They are not coherent, they are moving in random direction, therefore they are incoherent light. Okay, again I'm telling you, if two photons are emitted by spontaneous emissions, they the photons may or may not have the same direction. Okay, therefore the light that is emitted will not be a coherent beam of light, it may be an incoherent. Two photons may or may not travel in the same direction, they may have or may not have the same energy. Therefore all light, ordinary light source have emissions of this type, that is spontaneous emission. Third one, the last one here for the class. The last one is stimulated emission. Very important. Stimulated emission is the emission of a photon under the influence of a passing photon of just right energy. Suppose if I have an atom in the E2 state, if I have the atom in the E2 state, it is in the E2 state, okay, the atom is in the E2 state here, and if I have a photon of right energy, what is the right energy? E equal to E2 minus E1, that is, it should be the difference of these two energy states. Then this photon will make the atom to go back to the lower energy state. Once it goes back to the lower energy state, one photon is emitted. The passing photon is not absorbed, it is as it is. Therefore, this phenomenon uses an external photon in the okay, this external photon is acting as an energy. So therefore, this type of spontaneous this emission we call it as stimulated emission. Stimulated means forced emission or induced emission. So I can say that the stimulated emission is the emission of a photon. Stimulated emission is the emission of a photon by an atom under the influence of a passing photon of just right energy, due to which the atom transits from higher energy state to the lower energy state. Thus the photon emitted is called as the stimulated photon, and the photon that is used to incident is called as an incident photon. Therefore you get two photons here. From one you get two photons, and keep in mind they are having the same direction, they have the same energy, they have the same phase as the incident photon. Got it? Clear? So this is a very special type of photon. So it requires an external energy. So when an atom is in the excited state with the external energy, I can make the atom to go back to the lower energy state, thereby getting the emitted photons. From one photon I get two photon. So this type of photon, this type of light emission where you have two photons, both have same phase, same energy as well as same direction, okay, as the incident photon. Got it? So this process is called as stimulated emission, and there is one important property here. The For a stimulated emission, the two photons that are emitted, the stimulated emission you have, okay, for the stimulated emission, note that the two photons which are emitted, they have the same energy or frequency, they have the same direction. All the photons are moving the same direction, they have the same energy. Therefore, the light that is obtained in a stimulated emissions is a coherent. Now, since it is having a coherent, having the same direction, therefore we use this process in the laser. Okay. Thank you for your class. Thank you. Today we will stop here itself. In the next class, we shall go continue in the remaining. Thank you.